All right, so we're back with a review of Aeon's End Legacy. Like every other episode, big old spoiler alert right now, because we may talk about things that happen that you might not want to watch. So, for a quick, if you just want to know how we like the game, 2 big thumbs up from both of us, I'm pretty sure.
And Gary.
And Gary also. We talked a little bit about stuff in the very last episode, so we may repeat stuff here, but if you didn't watch the last episode, then it doesn't matter. But again, spoiler warning, because we're going to be free to talk about whatever we want that happened during the game.
Yep.
So anyways, as you know, 2 big thumbs up from both of us. This was a super awesome Legacy game. I think this is the first Legacy game that Jeb got to complete, right?
Yes, yep. Because Gloomhaven's far from it.
Well, Gloomhaven's far from him, and he has some other ones, but, like, he got Pandemic. I've already played it.
Right, so I'm looking for 3 people.
Season 1 anyways, and, I would certainly play Season 2 if he ever plays Season 1, but where he lives, it's making it difficult. Anyways, that's a side story. So, I guess for me, some of the highlights of it were I love the way that it was story driven. I love the time frame of the games. Definitely was spot on with the box, somewhere around an hour, so it played.
Yep.
Maybe even quicker sometimes, because every single one of us playing knows the game.
Yeah, that was one big plus, is that since we all knew how to play going into it, it was all smooth. Like, there was barely downtime, I think.
For me, I also, some of the mechanics in the game that I thought were really awesome is, I like your mage starting with literally nothing. Whereas if you've played the regular game, you know each mage has some sort of ability and some kind of tweaks on their card, whether it's what kind of breaches they have, how open they are, blah, 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 what kind of power they have, how many charges it takes to do their ability. This game, everybody starts with nothing.
Yeah.
And you, if you've read anything about it, as you know, that's the point of it, is to create your mage as you go along. One of my other favorite things, I think, was how it forced us to change the market every single time.
I did like that, because if you didn't have the option, if you weren't forced to put 2 in, then you're sitting there like, oh, this is pretty optimal, I'll just leave it the same. And then you're not really getting a good, like, changing experience.
Yeah, that's exactly why I like that. I loved them forcing you to make a decision with the market. And actually, because you don't know what's coming up, you could kind of get a little bit of foreshadowing in terms of, here's the new stuff they put in, we know this new mechanic's coming in, what should we take, because we know we're going to have to use it, so what's the best card to take to do it? And still, in our minds, capitalize on what we know we always need to. Like, is this spell going to be too expensive? What are these charges for? I mean, what are these pulses for?
Yeah.
What is,
Yeah, because when pulses were introduced, it was only just to get rid of those barriers, or put on barriers.
But
then it turned into other cards needing them, effects needing them, abilities. Yeah. So it's like, if we had decided to get rid of them, we would have been screwed that next game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I like the fact that, as the story went along, you got chucked a different villain, monster, whatever you want to call it, every single time. I'm not saying that probably wasn't, expected, but still, everything like the normal game, all the monsters were so totally unique. And some of them, if you watched our series, obviously we had a bear of a time with, and then other ones, skin of our teeth. If you didn't watch our episodes, I feel like the final 2 battles were just epic. Those were probably the best battles of the game. Not that there weren't other ones, but the last ones.
We did lose the second to last, though, right?
Yeah, that's my point. But that one was super close.
Oh yeah, it was really close.
And then the last battle was like super close too. So that was just, you know, you can't ask for anything better, especially the, you know, I felt like we were the comeback kids in the very final.
Well, in the last
round.
one, I mean, it felt like we were kind of conditioned to think that, oh, we need to do the deck out. So in the last one, when we were actually, there were no minions and we could hit him, we were like, oh, maybe we can actually kill him this time. And I thought that was really cool. And then we actually tried doing it, and it came down to, can we kill him before we deck him out? And then we ended up decking him out. So.
Yeah. And that was, and I have no idea if that was, if we just dumb luck that way or what, but I mean, like I had said in some of the episodes, if you haven't watched all the episodes, you wouldn't know that I found it interesting that we were able, in a few scenarios, to deck the monster out, where I feel like a lot of times that doesn't happen in the regular game. It's almost like if you don't pluck him, you're kind of toast. Not every creature. I'm just, because I think Jeb and I have only gotten to play the main box. We have all the expansions. We just. No, we opened one expansion, and I think we played one so far.
Maybe
from
I don't
from one of the first expansions. But my point is that so far in our play of the regular game, it seems like when we get lucky enough to win, we've actually killed him, not survived the ridiculousness of the bad guy.
Because I remember a lot of them getting so bad towards the end of the third deck, and like there's stuff sitting in the field that just won't go away and stuff. It's like, yeah, there's no way we can deck it out.
Yeah,
so.
But come close, but just be like, I can't hang on anymore. It's just it's just awful. You got any highlights that you really thought were awesome?
If you guys watched the fungal growth, I think was the one that we lost. We had 2 attempts and we lost both of them. And after playing through the entire campaign, I'm feeling like it was our decision for me to do all support and no attacking, because that's when we switched up our strategy and we lost, and then when we went back to it, we were able to do fine for the rest of the campaign. So I just thought that was like, it made me think, what would have happened if we didn't do that? Like if we kept to the strategy that we normally do.
Are you saying that, like, when we did the let Jeb do everything?
No, it was when I was only doing economy and buying the expensive spell that would go to you guys.
Like not when we were throwing every wild card.
Right, not that.
Not that. I think we changed that up too. We decided that wasn't that great of an idea. But yeah, because during the particular scenario that Jeb is talking about with the fungal guy, because we did have to play it twice, and if I remember correctly, I think our second game was actually worse.
Yeah.
And we had the help, like the no evolving, the guy, I don't know.
We didn't get to use it in time.
Oh, that's because nobody listened to Mickey.
Right.
Yeah, so I also feel like if you can, you should try to get 3 or 4 people to play. Yeah. I don't think it would hurt the experience playing with 2 people, because we play regular. The only reason I say that is just because if you can get a third, it's just a really neat experience.
Yeah.
You might, and since Aeon's is relatively easy to teach, you could probably suck somebody into an experience that they might enjoy if they have a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't probably grab a newbie unless you know the newbie is like, yes, I want to be into this hobby. But this was definitely, it was definitely worth the Kickstarter. I mean, you know, I don't know if I've seen anybody complain about the price. I feel like there was a decent amount of content in it for it.
Oh yeah.
Besides the fact is that you can use everything outside of the legacy once it's done, because they do give you basically replacement cards for everything that you used up during the campaign, and set it to a non-campaign type of card.
Right.
For instance, if you're familiar with the game, you know that things evolve. They put the cards that evolve back in the game without the evolve.
Right, so there's no sticker placement.
No sticker placement and stuff like that. You can take your mage out, and your mage you're able to use just like anything normal. It just tells you that if you want an easier game, go ahead and use your equipment. If you want a harder game, don't use your equipment.
Right.
It doesn't say don't use your charge power. It just says don't use your equipment, I believe.
It's also interesting because you took that one option where it's one less charge to use your ability. So for that, you're just going to have a 5 ability. But I know in the original game there were some that were
some of them were like... Some of them were down to like 4, 3 or 4. So. I mean, the power wasn't quite as brutal as, like, I feel like my power is pretty awesome.
Right.
But, you still have to have the ability to charge it up. And the fact that they only gave 1 blocking and you had to make the choice.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're probably still pretty balanced, and I think it's a neat idea to be able to be like, say you run into some monster that you're having just a heck of a time with in the regular one. Well, maybe try one of these mages and use the equipment, see if you can beat it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stuff like that. Anyways, I think they did a good job of you being like it's a legacy game where I think it really has the potential to be used in the regular one. After playing a few things like Pandemic and Gloomhaven and now this and stuff like that, I know a lot of people are doing the resets and stuff. Personally, I don't see myself ever doing that.
Right.
I wouldn't do a reset. Jeb has this box. We've already talked about possibly doing it again and making us some house rules on how we might play. Maybe you guys hadn't thought of something like that, but if you wanted to play it again, we were thinking like go back. I mean, since we recorded it, but go back and be like, write down everything, all our decisions for like the marketplace and powers and abilities and stuff, and say that we're not allowed to take any of those.
Right.
I don't know if we would say somebody else could take one that we didn't, but it would be 100% sure that that person couldn't take the same thing, just to force an entirely different...
And that would force us to adapt the
exactly.
Because it might not always be good. If there's something that I need and I took it the last session and I'm like, oh, I can't take it now, then I got to deal with it. So. Right.
I mean, because that would help with, anything that you remembered, you're going to have to, I mean, you'd still have to make a decision based on like, oh, what's coming up? Is it going to work or not?
Right.
And so we felt like that would probably make a second playthrough of the same person have a kind of neat experience with it, rather than just like, oh, this worked good last time.
Yeah.
But that was just an idea, so...
Yeah, if you guys have any thoughts, let us know.
That's how we would probably redo it if it was the same group of people. Obviously, if we had a fourth, they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that we would probably shut our mouth with everything and let them just, you do what you need to do, because if we were like, say the double shots on the minion that I ended up taking ended up being pretty good in some certain situations. So we wouldn't coach another person and be like, do that. Yeah, no. Let them make the decision. And then if they took it, we'd be like, yeah, that's going to come in handy sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the highlights to the whole campaign for me was one that Jeb already mentioned. That fungal one, I think, depressed everybody. Like, we thought, like, oh my gosh, this whole game is going to go downhill from here.
I think when we lost the second one of it, that was when we decided to stop playing for that day. We were like, yeah, we're done. Like,
I think I'll toot my own horn a little bit on this one. I think one of the other highlights was just this second to last game, I guess. And I don't even remember what minion was, but a huge minion came out.
And it was like 34, I think, was the life. That
no, it
one,
wasn't.
or
I don't think it was that one. The one I one-shotted.
Oh,
like,
right. Okay.
I think, so basically what happened was, a pretty giant minion came out. He had a terrible persistent effect. The wild card came up, and I just had a god hand.
Mm-hmm.
I had all my charges and everything else, and I one-shotted him, and everybody was like, yes! Because it would have sat there. And even with the ability to silence stuff, it would have been... It's always tough because of the mechanic of turn order in this game, because silencing only works if you never get a double nemesis card. And trust me, you are not going to play through this game without getting back-to-back nemesis.
Especially if you play with us.
Yeah, exactly.
And we shuffle.
Even Gary double stacked stacked a double a couple times. And I think he got voted best shuffler.
In the last one, yeah. I know that one where we switched out the Nemesis card with the special Nemesis card. That was brutal.
Oh, the assault.
Yeah, because that one had all the special minions of the spires or whatever they were, and I'm like, holy crap! And we lost that one.
Yes, we did.
But we were actually getting pretty close to winning, so. That was just brutal, though, because there were times where 9 were out, and if there were 10, we would have lost.
Yep. I feel like it had a good balance, because we didn't win everything, but we didn't lose everything either.
Right.
I think if you make a game...
Where you just breeze through the whole thing.
Breeze through is not fun, and getting slaughtered every single time...
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that can be a little bit rough.
Arkham, too.
Yeah, I mean,
those are fun.
there are certainly games that are designed for not winning so much.
We know what we get into when we play those.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the evolution stuff in this, because the whole evolution deck where you read the story of what's happening to the creature, because there was that one damn cocoon thing that kept growing, and you're like, holy crap, what's it going to turn into?
Yeah, and the evolution part made it very interesting in terms of your decision making too. It's like,
oh yeah,
if I'm just about to die, is it better? Because once you understand how the evolution thing worked, because most of the time there was no instant effect.
Right.
It was like, you're just gonna have to deal with this later, but the later is gonna be bad. So do you make the decision to just like, I might have a chance to do something good here, let it evolve?
Right.
Or do I not let it evolve and take the chance that I can still do good?
Right.
So I agree with you that was, not only was the story awesome, but the way that they forced you to make, which way do you want to go with this card, was pretty important.
The only problem with it that I could see was in the last chapter when we let stuff evolve, like a power card or an attack. If we let it evolve, we're never going to see the evolution card, because that's the last chapter.
That would only apply to the last chapter if you had to fight it twice, though.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Because the first...
No, if you let it evolve to its final form, if you're talking about just putting a sticker, yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter at all. But, that's certainly...
But there's nothing they can really do about it.
Well, I know, exactly. And you start, it's from the beginning of the game, so if you were able... I feel like if you were able to hold it off and you had that advantage for the last game, then kudos to you, right? You did good.
Right.
I think
we prevented, 6 or 7 things from getting final evolution.
We did some pretty good one. Another highlight moment is the one during the dude with the assault, the Maelstrom, right? He was the assault one. I think Jeb held off at least twice.
The 9 and the 10 spot?
The card that was like, put this by him, and then both Nemesis cards are assault cards. That would have been game over. That's a horrible, horrible, horrible card.
Yeah.
So
that was so rough.
So yeah, having Mr. Economy Man was definitely not a bad idea when it came down to it. So, but
no, I think we did make a mistake in the one time where you died.
Yep.
I think that's the only one that we know of. I don't know if anybody will catch any along the way. Hopefully we didn't do anything too bad.
And I had just started dying is one of those things where you usually end up just double checking the steps on what you're supposed to do. Jeb points it out during the game. He remembers we didn't do it. It doesn't make a difference. We lost the game anyways. Right. If we had won the game, that would have been a huge difference because what we forgot was the double unleash when you get exhausted. We didn't do it. We just continued.
Well, so when we were talking about it, I remember Mickey picking up the book and saying I'll go through it. Right, but then I think we got him sidetracked on something else and then just never.
Well, I think I thought that we remembered everything and then I didn't check and I should have because I would have seen the double unleash. But Jeb breaking his own rule. He's always telling me do step by step, step by step. Mickey, make sure you don't forget your steps. I did. So I didn't check like I should have. So don't I guess tag that under things to remember. Double check unless you know that you remember.
Unless you play this game so much.
Yeah, if you play this game so much that if you remember exhausted, but
I want to say the last time we played Aeons before this had to be.
Yeah, but don't forget that the entire steps of being exhausted they gradually come into the game.
Oh yeah, they grow during it. That's right. Because there were some stickers for them.
Mm-hmm. So that was another kind of cool thing about it, which is a good balance for like I said at the beginning of this whole very long review now was that because the mages start at nothing, bringing in some of the whole game room rules was a good idea. So that would be my second point to things to remember. Don't jump if you've played this game a lot. Make sure that you realize that, don't go through the rule book because you'll notice some stuff. You'll be like, well, where is that? Well, it's either not going to be in this game or it's coming. So play it like the rules until you get more rules.
Right. Because when you start, you only have 3 breaches. So it's that's obviously you see that something's different from the original.
Yep. And
all the breach stuff, I guess the better example is your charges. Those don't come until later, so everything related to charges is not in the rulebook. So you got a good point there. So.
Right. So, that's what we think. If you have any different comments on the game, I don't know that there's that much. I don't really have any more things to remember, and I think we already went over, basically our likes and in terms of who you might want to, bring into the game. So I don't know if you have any other two you remember.
Definitely looking forward to a second one if they do it, because they did leave the story open. So I'm I wouldn't mind playing in a sequel to it.
Yeah, they definitely, assuming they did good with this one, which they probably did because it's such a fantastic game, that I would definitely be in on another one. And anyways, throw in some comments if you guys different experiences, stuff you thought that we shouldn't have done, stuff that you thought that we capitalized on pretty well, blah blah blah, anything like that, because we're kind of curious to know other people's effect. And if you watched all the way through this and you're pissed that we said something you didn't want to know, then you didn't take heed to the warning, but we're still sorry about it. Hope we didn't ruin anything for it, because we wanted to have a session where we could openly talk about it with people that, see if they had similar experiences or thought the same same things. I think either Jeb or Gary said they felt like it was a little quick. I think it felt quick because we had some gaming sessions where we played 4 games at a time. So
I really like doing that. Just because the story sucked me in, that I was I'm fine with playing it.
I think I might have felt a little different if I didn't know that the content couldn't have been used later. I mean, it is kind of, it's a kind of a big purchase if you're, like, done in 2 days.
That's true, but for my thinking, like, we don't get to play as often as we want. And it's like, well, if I can get through a game completely in like 3 sessions, then I'm happy because, I mean, I have something similar to this.
No, I guess my point is for somebody that's like looking for something that like has replay value.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, if your gaming group sits down and plays it in 1 day, are you going to feel like it was worth it? I don't know. I mean, that comes into play of, like, did you guys split the cost? Then I think it's a lot different. Does it have replay value? All of the games that we've played so far that are legacy games claim that you can replay them after. Would I? Probably not.
Right.
This one I might. This one I might take the decks and stuff, put in my regular box, and then there are options to play because you can play it just like a regular thing. You can play the monsters just like a regular. You can play the mages just like a regular. So
right.
This one has way more potential. Would I play the campaign again? Not without a fresh box, obviously.
Right.
And not without making myself some house rules, since I know what happens.
Right.
So that's kind of where I totally agree with you, though, in terms of, like, it's fun to sit down and be able to power through something, too. And that some of that comes to the length of being able to play through a scenario also.
Yeah, because if it's only an hour and you sit for 6 hours, you can get through a good amount.
Right,
so.
Exactly. I mean, assuming that you don't lose every single time because then you're playing the same one, but that didn't happen. That only happened a couple of times. So, yeah, I don't... kudos to Indie Cards. It was a fantastic experience. And Action Phase. I don't know who takes most credit. I don't really care because it's awesome.
I think the only thing left, if there's any games you guys want to see or have us review or actually do a series, just let us know and we'll put it up on the list of things we've got going.
And we'll do another Legacy if somebody wants to see a certain one, except for Seafall. I'm not doing that. It got too much negative review.
I don't want to buy it. I mean,
that's my point. Now, if somebody wants to sell it, send us a copy because you think it's great. We'll play it. What?
No,
I would.
True. Yeah,
I have the
same feeling. I just have no urge to buy it after everything I've heard.
I know. So, although I have seen some people say it's not as bad as what other people are saying, but again, with everything else I have seen out there that has positive reviews and things like that, that's really low on the totem pole, and I wouldn't unless somebody said, "I'll buy it for you, play it." Then I would be like, okay. But other than that, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Great.
So, if you're interested, Gloomhaven's still going,
right?
And we are going to start shortly. We're going to start running through Seventh Continent. And Seventh Continent we've done a review on, but we are going to start from the beginning with Gary, run through the entire 8 bazillion hours of that. So
yeah, we'll probably break it down by the curses or whatever they're called, like, because each curse I think has its own like story.
I know, but they claim that thing can be 1,200 hours of play or something. My point is there'd be a lot of sessions of that, but if you watched our review, the save system is so fantastic in it. It makes it very easy to do something like that. Arkham Horror, the card game, is currently going to...
Unless it finished, I don't know. by the time this gets put up.
Oh, no, I mean, it's a series that we're doing.
It's one we got, and we'll continue, I'm pretty
unless
sure.
Everybody hates it. And I'll say it again, everything that I'm talking about, it is a series, not a review, so spoilers galore. And I don't know any other series we have currently planned yet.
Not yet.
Series-wise, that's what we have in the pipeline.
Okay. Yeah. And then for regular episodes, whatever
strikes our fancy. We have tons of stuff that we want to do, so.
Yeah. So,
all right.
I think that's about it. So, until next time. See ya.